Yeah, that buzz was weird.
That buzz was weird. We're going, dude. What's up?
What's up, my guy?
Is this four?
This is number four.
Number four. Let's ride. You might as well host this thing, dude.
Yeah, someday.
Dude, you're coming to us live from a studio that's better than mine.
The pod studio down here at Weatherby. Yeah,
Hell yeah, that looks sweet.
yeah, it's a cool space. Do a weekly pod or bank a couple. Have some cool people in here. I haven't been in on one yet, but we got some things coming down the line.
That's dope. That's cool they let you use it too.
Yeah, it's super clutch because I just moved into my place down here this weekend, and I don't have Wi-Fi yet. So I asked my bosses. I was like, "Hey, can I bum the Wi-Fi, but also the studio?"
Well, I'm glad they let it happen for us.
Yeah,
Have you had time to process the past? Well, shit, like a week ago today, we were like in the hurt box, dude.
it was the end of it. We could go today. Yeah, I
Yeah,
had time to process it a little bit, but it still just seems like what the heck just
I
happened.
know. Pull
What
that
about
mic
you?
up a little bit closer if
What
you
about
can.
you?
Yeah, I have, dude. I probably should have taken some more time off. I kind of got right back in the gym after like 2 days, and I don't know, but it was so worth it what we did. I mean, totally worth it, right?
Yeah, absolutely, dude. My ankle is not okay though. Like,
Your ankle looks like my thigh.
dude, my it is not okay. And the funny thing is I didn't even realize till Monday night. Like, I knew I tweaked it, but like I took my sock off and it is bigger than a softball. It was
Yeah, it looked
huge.
bad. Then I have
So
this thing where I can't like feel the side of my toes, like my big toe and like the side of my foot, kind of from all the side healing. It's not frostbite, but there's almost like nerve damage, and it's like I had Morgan like tap my foot, and I was like, yeah, I can't really feel that at all. So I don't necessarily know, like just kind of numb.
interesting. Yeah, give her some time. She come back.
Yeah, I did get a new pair of Krispies though. They took my boots back.
That's good. They should have.
Yeah, they should have. That was some bull crap.
But
I won't talk bad about Crispy though. I love Krispies.
no, Crispies they're awesome. I'm still waiting for them to come back into stock on my boots.
You wear the Nevadas, don't you?
Yeah, I love those Nevadas. Uninsulated, just man, I had a pair for 3 years, and that's a long time for me having a pair of boots. I got them resold once, and I mean, I was telling you, I bet there's 900 to 1,000 miles on them. Like, no joke. I mean, because got a new pair of boots, and within a month, there's 200 miles on them. So it's just
Yeah.
like I did some math the other day. I spent as of 2 days ago, and so it's December 4th today. So just call it 1st of December. I spent 80 of the last 108 days in the field or traveling to the field, personal hunts, filming hunts, photographing hunts, or flying to and from, driving to and from. So, man, I mean, I'm always just bummed when hunting season ends. But this year I was like fulfilled and also like, I'm ready to just like kind of chill out, but I'm not going to just get a chill out. So, yeah.
What's next for you?
Well, it was going to be a cat hunt here in Montana. Well, back up in Montana, but I actually just talked to that guy today, and they're getting a string of bad weather, as in like warm weather, losing their snow. He treed and shot one yesterday or today, and his dogs treed one first day with no snow, but he's like, you have to be like hour-old tracks, and your dogs just happen to find it. So we're going to push that back till around Christmas. I'm home for Christmas. I'll go out on that for like 3 days. And then, so what's next is we got a couple duck hunts for work here that I'll be filming and creating content around for some cool stuff we got coming up here this spring. I'll just leave it at that. That's all I can say.
I believe it, and that's the biggest thing though with like those cats, man. If you don't have snow, it about makes it impossible.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you get to go duck hunting. Hopefully, you spend a lot of time in a blind and keep some miles off your feet.
Yeah.
It
That's
makes
the
so much
plan.
sense though how successful you are out there. Just I don't know if successful is the right word. Like, I mean, uh, we'll go with that. But like, you're just out so much and you put on so many miles year after year after year that like you don't really need to like go out and run all the time or freaking get on the treadmill or do like crazy amounts of cardio because you just do it for work all the time. So it makes sense. Like you just get out there and you freaking hiked my ass into the ground, dude. Bad. Bad.
That's the thing is I tell people, I'm like, I might not be in shape, but I'm in mountain shape. I'm always in
Yeah.
mountain shape. Yeah, no, it's like my training regimen, we've talked about this in the past, but it's just getting out there, doing movement and putting miles down. It's nothing crazy. And I'm really looking forward to here these next couple months getting back into the gym, doing some strength training because it's been a while and my knees and my ankles need it. And then just overall just bulk up a little bit and be feeling a little better in the mountains next fall. That's kind of the goal.
Well, this summer you really kind of got pretty consistent with it, especially after you spent those couple days with me. Like after that, you were sending me videos and like you were in the gym a couple times a week, getting a few runs in and stuff. That had to help you a lot.
Yeah, and it actually wasn't really much of the gym at all because of my location. I was literally living in a cabin in the woods this summer, and what I told myself is like, there's no excuse to not go run. I have an excuse to not make it into the gym because the closest one's an hour away, one way. But I don't have an excuse not to go on a 2, 3, 4, 5, 10-mile trail run. So it's that was 100% mental right there. Honestly, just knowing that there's no excuses and you have to do something to better yourself. So
Yeah, I'm proud of you, man. That goes a long way. A lot of people don't look at it like that, but you have been recently, and I think it's paying dividends for you.
absolutely.
You want to start off? Let's start off with a little bit more about you, dude, and then we can jump into our hunt. But a lot of things have happened since episode 80 something last time you were on here.
88. Yeah, dude. I was thinking about that. That was like end of May last year, something like that.
Yeah.
I was like, man, he's put down some episodes since I've been on last. And yeah,
You're
dude.
saving my butt right now. This is Monday night. I usually got them out Monday morning, so I appreciate it.
Yeah, well, we were going to do it yesterday, but then I realized I didn't have Wi-Fi at my place, so that was impossible. So I was like, let's run it tomorrow night after work. But yeah, no, lot has changed in life since May of last year.
Let's get into it a little bit.
All right, what do you want?
I want to talk a little bit about some opportunities that you were kind of pumped about that didn't necessarily pan out, and I want to hear why you think they didn't pan out, and then where it led you to where you are now. I think that's a pretty cool story.
Yeah. Okay. So
You don't have to name companies if you don't want to.
no, we're
We're
not
here.
going to do that. Yeah,
That's not why we're here.
Exactly. But so let's see. Beginning last year, kind of around the first of the year, I was in contact with a company to get hired for an in-house position, and they came seek me out, and we had some great conversations. I was going down to Mexico to film some Coues deer hunts, so I was like, okay, on my drive down, I will stop by the office. We'll have an in-person chat. I'll check the place out and kind of go from there. And so I did that. And while we're having the conversation, I said, yeah, let's do this. I'll take the job. And he was going to work up a contract and get it over to me. So I spent the 2 weeks in Mexico. And I was supposed to have a contract when I got back from that. I didn't. We were going into the Western Hunt Expo that literally the day after I got back from Mexico, and they were there and had conversation with them and introduced my parents. He talked to my parents, all my other photography buddies and such. And he's like, yep, right when we get back from the expo, you'll have a contract. Well, needless to say, those were the last words I ever heard from this person. Email, text, phone calls, like nothing, just straight
Legitimately, like nothing else.
Legitimately ghosted. Still to this day, never heard a word. And so I was bummed, man. It was like, dang, like I had it right there, and it didn't work. And then, some more things came to light over the next month or 2 or 3, and the realization hit me. I'm like, man, I am glad that happened. Like, so I'm freelancing before this, right? I'm doing freelance. I don't know where the next paycheck is. I don't know who the next client is. We're just on the grind. And so to have that where it was going to be a salary job, decent money, benefits, and have that right there, and taking that next step to learn the brand from within and be able to focus on the creative side of stuff. So having that right there and then taken away, like at the start, like yeah, that crushed me a little bit. But then being able to take that step back and look at it and be like, man, that's a good thing that didn't happen. I don't know if I would have made it 6 months there, just with the culture and how they operate, and it just doesn't quite fit me. And I couldn't see that at the time because I was so excited about the opportunity. Um, so that's nor here nor there. But then a couple months later, another opportunity came along. Same thing. They asked if I'd be interested in the position, and I said sure. So I interviewed for them, and that interview didn't really go great. I wasn't necessarily prepared. I didn't realize it was gonna. Like I thought it was just kind of a little chat, and it was a little bit more of an interview. Um,
Hint, interview.
yeah. Well, they never said that. Like neither of us really said that, but that's what it was.
Where they just kind of like jump on a call type of thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It was with the team, and it would have been a cool position. They do like 4 days a week, 1 day remote, so 3 days in the office. And it would have been good, but it wasn't a fit for me either. Didn't get that job. Wasn't like too bummed or anything about it, but I was like, man, another opportunity, another experience, right? So we're just staying the course, and this summer I lived up in Condon, Montana, in my family's cabin, and just worked on my craft, worked on myself, and just tried to have a good summer. And we had me and the boys, old Logan Romney, and Kincaid. We had a nice project lined up for 2 weeks in end of August, a high country muleys in Utah. We're going to be dropping that film here around the first of the year, and so it was a fun hunt. Logan's actually out finishing that hunt up because ultimately it wasn't successful in the harvest. It was successful as we went and we had a good time with each other, but yeah, he's been putting in some more days, just trying to get something down, self-filming it, just trying to get something for the film and for himself, of course, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so excited for that to come out. It's probably 20 days in the field going into that, so it'll be a good film, even though there's no killing it. But yeah, we had that, and it was a couple days before that happened. And my photography mentor, who's an industrial photographer in Missoula, he texts or calls me. He's like, "Hey, Weatherby's hiring. You need to apply." I like go look at the job. I'm like, "Oh, okay. Like I'll throw my name in the hat." Like feeling underqualified for sure. Just like it's Weatherby, And so I apply for that. Well, I actually complete my application, and then the next, stayed up till 2 a.m. Haven't done a resume in 4 years. Just so I do that, and the next day the HR guy here calls me, leaves a message. Hey, saw you made an application but didn't submit it. Like, you still interested in the job? I'm like, oh yeah, absolutely. I'll submit it this afternoon. Submit it, and then literally the marketing manager here, my boss Tyler, we jumped on a call 2 days later, right before, because I let him, we got connected on Instagram, message back and forth. I was like, hey, I'm leaving for 2 weeks. He's like, let's jump on a call. Had a great, hour-long initial call with him, and really felt each other out, felt like it would be a good position, and he said they'd follow up. And so I'm in the mountain filming this hunt in Utah, and I have this glassing rock, or if I sit down, I don't have cell service. If I stand up, that's the only cell service we had around there. And I get an email from him about follow-up interview, and they're asking if I could do it that week or that Monday. I'm like, no, I'm still in the mountains. Let's do it Wednesday or whatever when I get out. So we get out at 1 a.m., go back to Logue's place, and then that next morning I had my interview, and dude, I just crushed it. I've never felt so good about something like that in my life. I got off that call and I yelled up to Kincaid. I'm like, I got that job. That job is mine. And needless to say, later that day, he called me, and I'd got the job. So moved down here to Sheridan September 25th, and took on the content producer role at Weatherby here. And so that's all the photo, video in-house, creating films, creating all the assets for product launches, photos, hype reels. Walked into a bunch of unedited films, which is a whole beast in itself because it's not filmed in my style. I wasn't there. I don't know how things actually went down. So it's been incredible, though. We just got back from Kodiak, Alaska here and had a couple other good hunts, and just like my team here is amazing. My boss Tyler, he's the marketing manager, and we did a hunt together, and we're good buddies now, and then the whole team with like the website guy, the graphic designer, the social media gal, and then the marketing coordinator, like just a great team. And then Adam and Brenda Weatherby are really cool people. Got to go on a hunt with them for like 9-10 days in the back country, which is cool right away to show the owners, third generation owners of Weatherby, what I'm about, what I can do, not just as a creative but as an outdoorsman, and I'm very passionate about that, obviously. So it's been very fulfilling and definitely surreal. It's we were talking about it, dude. Like we met about 2 years ago in like a month, right?
Yep.
To where I am now from where I was then is just like it doesn't even seem like it's possible in 2 years. But that's what happens when you like fully commit and just engulf yourself in like what you're passionate about, right? Like if you just commit and give it everything you have, like working 8 hours a day after working 8 hours a day for my dad on my business, it's just doing stuff like that, the little things, the sacrifices that no one will ever see. And they're like, man, he's living a great life. It's like, I am living a great life because I've created it for myself. But it wasn't easy, and they're never going to see those sacrifices behind the scene, right? So it's doing that stuff that's going to get you to where you really want to be.
Yeah, I told you could host this show because that's exactly where I was going to lead to next. You're totally right, because 2 years and some change, and it's like two totally different people. And throughout the whole time, you've had some really good moments. You've had some, pretty down moments. But throughout all of it, you kind of tell me some things that you probably wouldn't tell all of your friends. And I try to walk you through some stuff. Not that I know everything, but I appreciate you coming at me with, some things that you're not so stoked about. And I'm trying to keep you up. And you never once complained. You never once moaned or bitched or anything like that. You just worked harder, which is very admirable. Not a lot of people, especially at the time, 22, 23, 24 years old, would do. They'd cry and go back home, take their ball and, carry on. But you never did that. You just stuck to it. You worked harder. You made better content. You took better you took better photos. You got better clients. Like it just kept going and going and going. And then even with the two jobs that at the time you wanted that didn't pan out for you, you're like, okay, something better is going to come. Something better is going to come. And look where you are now.
Blessing in disguise, man. Truly, it's like all things happen for a reason. I'm a true believer in that. And then another thing off that is like failure is the ultimate crutch to success. You must fail to succeed. Like that is the biggest thing for learning is failure. If you don't fail, your learning curve is just slower. It just is. And, failure looks like a lot of different things. It might be me having this specific vision of going out and shooting maybe some landscape photos like of the moon rising or something like that. Going out and just it's an epic flop. It's a failure. It's just like, don't create what I want to, get it back into Lightroom, break it down. Okay, why did this go like this? Figuring it out and then getting better for next time. So, yeah.
Yeah, and if people are new to the show and are new to Koby, go back and listen to the first one. What number was that? You probably remember.
The very first one we did was low 30s. I want to say 32. It's like 32, 50-something, and 88.
Yeah, go back and listen to episode 32, and then come and listen to episode, what's this, 115-ish? Like, it's two totally different people. Well, from my end, too. Like, I've grown as well, and I think if we were both the same people we were on episode 32, we'd probably have to reevaluate some things in our life. But thankfully, we've both grown and learned a little bit throughout the past couple of years. But I'm proud of you, man. Great work.
Yeah, appreciate you. One other thing I want to touch on that is,
Please do.
You talk about how coming to you with some stuff I might not tell other people. It's like you got to have those people in your life. You got to have those people you can lean on, your inner circle that you can get that stuff off your chest, and maybe they don't even give you anything back in advice or anything, but it's just getting that off your chest. Or maybe they say something that just opens a new avenue for you. So having people that you can express yourself and lean on it's very important in life, I think.
It is. It really is. And those people also need to tell you what you need to hear and not what you want to hear as well.
Yep, shoot you straight, and you've been doing that since day one. So
I try, man. I just appreciate that you feel comfortable enough to come to me and, let me spill some of the things that I've learned over into your world. And not only do you hear it, but you apply most of it too, because I have some buddies that will ask me some stuff and then they'll just do the complete opposite. And then they'll come to me like 3 months later and then do the complete opposite. And then finally I'm like, dude, you need to stop calling me. If you're not even going to take a sliver of my advice, you need to stop. But you've never done that. You always at least hear me out and try to apply some of the shit. So it means a lot that you do that, and I appreciate it, man. Let's get to this piece where you called me. You caught me at a bad moment a couple weeks ago, or
a
week and a half ago. And I'll just start it off, and I'll let you take it from there. But so if you guys listen to this, you know me at all. Morgan and I, my wife, we don't get out a whole heck of a lot. We just kind of do our own thing. We don't go out drinking or really none of that shit. If we do, it's with friends or family. It's kind of a once in a blue moon thing. So the day before Thanksgiving, it's apparently the biggest bar night of the year. So we're like, hell, let's go be like everybody else for once and go have a couple drinks. So I had a couple drinks, and then Koby calls me, and he's like, what are you doing this weekend? And I was like, shit, nothing, dude. Like, trying to recover. I've been packing deer out for the past 2 weeks straight. Well, I'm going to be over here if you want to come hunting. And I put the phone down, and I lean over to Morgan. I was like, hey, can I go hunting with Koby? And she goes, yeah, you need to go hunting with Koby. And I was like, all right, cool. And I was like, yeah, dude, I'm in. And the next morning, I wake up. I'm like, shit. I was like totally content on not going hunting for the rest of the year. It was the last weekend. And I was like, shit, I told Koby I'd go hunting with him. I got to go now. And then what happened. I'll let you take it.
Yeah, so I showed up. So I was back in Montana for Thanksgiving up at my family's place, and man, the elk hunt was just slow there all year. Dad didn't get into anything, and I had a good couple days hunting with him, spend time with him up at the hunting cabin, but we're both running out of elk meat, like my parents and I. And we're like, man, we gotta get something. And I'm like, it just is not happening here, Dad. Like, I gotta go somewhere where I can at least get a mule deer and a whitetail doe. Like, I gotta go push the limits and not just feel like I'm twiddling my thumbs over here. So I Thursday night after Thanksgiving, I drove 4 or 5 hours, and so I hunted Friday by myself, and I didn't really get into anything. Got into a bunch of tracks and this spot I'd scouted on Onyx, and it's a little bit adjacent to another spot I've hunted previously, but haven't hunted from the side that I'm in. I've came in from the top end, and we're on the bottom end, as we'll just call it. So you show up that next morning, and I hop in the truck with you, and I'm like, by the way, this is the gnarliest terrain I've ever hunted. It's the real deal. And not that you wouldn't have come if I would have told you that on the phone, but, I just saved that little nugget for you when you showed up. So
Yeah, you sure did. You sure did save it.
So we drive up to the trailhead, and we start hiking up this hill that has a trail on Onyx. But I'll tell you what, this trail was non-existent anymore. Hadn't been around for years. And a little nugget on this place is it burned in '06. Really, really big fire.
They're going to pause the podcast and start looking at the burns, dude.
Oh, well, you can go here.
Have at it.
I'll send you a pin.
Too.
Yeah, big burn in '06, and so it's just kind of time period. It's like there's regen, there's a bunch of down logs, there's a bunch of down logs in the regen, rocky, steep, just gnarly country. So we hike up in there, and it takes us like a while to get to the top. It's 1,500 foot right off the bat. Get up to the glass and knob, and you're just like already like, dude, you're kicking my butt already. So
You were. No doubt about it. My butt was kicked by the time we got up to the top already.
yeah, and it foot of fresh snow. Luckily, powder, not wet snow. Wet snow sucks to hike in. Um, so we get up there, we kind of sit at a glass and knob, and I had this tentative plan to kind of hook to the right and hit these two different glass and knobs along the ridge top, and I knew there were elk in here. I knew there wasn't a lot of elk in here, but I was looking for a mule deer, potentially. So we get to glass, and I'm like, oh man, there's a bunch of fresh tracks over to the left here. Like maybe we'll hang that way. And we're sitting there glassing, and you spot a dozen cows, just sunning themselves, feeding. It was like what, 9:45 at that point. And about 5 minutes later, I'm like, oh, I got a bull. You're like, oh, you popped out the spotter. And I'm like, yep, 2 bulls. Well, I knew there were 2, and I figured if it was 1 bull, there's 2 bulls. So 2 bulls, and we look at them, and we're just like, I say, oh, they're not in that bad of a spot.
Famous
Well,
last words.
Yeah. We convinced ourselves that we needed to go shoot one. Well, I want to shoot one. Let's go shoot them both. I'm like, let's go shoot one. You've packed some stuff out, but you've never seen a dead elk on the ground. Let's go shoot one. So we start about 10 o'clock. We leave there and start working our way over towards them. And give me your thoughts on while we're working our way over to them.
As we're working our way, I knew we had quite the jaunt ahead of us, like at least probably a couple hours, which is what it ended up taking us. But, you know, we've hunted elk before in pretty bad country. And I've hunted elk a lot by myself and with other people. And usually if I glass something from that far away, I mean, they were just under 2 miles away. By the time I get there, those elk are so far gone that I just hiked all the way over there, and that was that. Like, you know, just went and got my steps in, and there's no elk to be had. So I'm like, man, unfortunately, this is probably going to end up just like every other stalk. You know, by the time we get there, these bulls are going to be gone, and then somehow we're going to have to get out of this hellhole that we just hiked into. And then the whole time, and I usually don't think like that, and I didn't really care to begin with because I was just out for a rip with one of my buddies in some of the coolest country that I've probably ever set foot in, especially with all the snow. And I haven't really done like too much late season rifle hunting in that type of snow. So I was just really enjoying myself. It was a good, healthy grind, but I wasn't getting my hopes up. And the whole time you were just like, dude, they're gonna be there. Like, you're gonna go kill your first bull. And I'm like, yeah, okay, Koby, yeah, okay. Like, we're gonna have to hike all the way out of here with no elk to show for it. I'm already trying to think, like, which way are we gonna go once we get here? And you just weren't having it.
Yeah. So you're like, man, I hope they're there. I hope they're there. I'm like, dude, they're gonna be there, and if they're not there, they didn't go far. That's the thing about elk this time of year. They just act differently. You know, they're looking for feed, they're looking for sun, and they're looking for cover. I mean, they're always looking for cover. So they're tucked in this nice little spot, like kind of mid-slope in this little bowl. And so we get close. I'm like, all right, let's have a snack right here. And you're like, we're having a snack? What do you mean? I'm like,
we gotta go. We gotta go, man. We gotta go.
It was like a little 5-minute break. It was just like we just hour and a half and like mile and a half. It took us 2 hours to go about 2 miles over to them, ultimately, and grab a quick little bite to eat because it's like you don't want. It was getting close to lunch, and me personally, it's like I don't want to be empty stomach or like dry mouth when I'm getting up and ready to take a shot. So it's like just being prepared. So work our way over to the drainage we need to go up, and before we got there, like probably half hour prior to the snack, I'm like, yeah, it's gonna be like 300 yard shot, 300 yards max, and you're just like, bullshit, man. You're like, I'm good out to 700. I don't necessarily need to shoot at 700, but I'm good to 7. I'm like, I'm good to 5.
Yeah, but I don't need to get to 2.
This is 300 yard shot max. And so we start working our way up there, and we're kind of trying to skirt above these Christmas trees with some downfall in them. And all of a sudden, I'm just like, oh, there it is. Just saw it through this like triangle of downfall. And you're like, what do you mean? It's like, oh, we got dropped. So we had to drop, go through the Christmas trees, and got to where we might be able to take a shot, and there were trees on our ridge in the way. So we kind of looped and went down the ridge another 100 yards and peek up, and they're just bedded right in the exact same spot. And I'm like, 270. So we get you to find them, take a peek at them, and I'm like, you're like you shoot him. I'm like, absolutely not, Tyler. I am not shooting this elk. You're shooting your first bull. Like, this is it. And he's like, well, you're gonna shoot the other one, right? I'm like, I'll think about it. Like, we'll worry about getting yours on the ground first. Like, once you shoot, so Tyler's bull was bedded quartering to, and the bull that I shot was bedded completely facing away. So I'm like, obviously he knew which one to pick, shoot. It was the bedded one right towards him, and so he crawls up, gets his bipod out before he crawls up, obviously, and gets set up, and I was like, my bull will be confused. He'll give us an opportunity if I want it. And in my head, I'm like, I'm not shooting this elk. Like, we got a pack out in front of us. So the one you shot was just laying there chewing his cud, looking at the ridge, but not really looking, like literally chewing his cud. Mm-hmm. So we crawl up there, and you're like, oh man, I don't remember if you said I have all day or you said that after you shot, but you bet you had all day. But you took a good 2-3 minutes to get comfortable, to take a shot, and I'm like 2 yards to your left and about a yard behind you because I didn't have a bipod. I threw my backpack on top of sagebrush, and I wasn't fully prone. I kind of had my legs tucked underneath me, but comfortable position. So, what'd you do?
Yeah, I had all day, like you said. I mean, as soon as I kind of got to the edge of that ridge, I was like, oh, I'm going to kill this bull. Like, as soon as I got him in the scope, he was looking towards our ridge, but he didn't see us or anything like that, and he was just chilling hardcore. So I just got comfortable and got my breathing under control, and, I mean, smoked him pretty darn good. I hit exactly where I aimed, and then, yeah, I might as well tell it. I'm pretty honest on here.
You tell this part. This is good one for you to tell.
He stood up. I let him have it again, smoked him again, and then I still got one bullet left. And I've heard some horror stories in terms of people like plug an elk and then they don't die and this, that, and the other. And I did not want that to be me. I did not want to be another horror story. So I shot him a third time, and he'd have died after the first one. And literally as I'm breaking the third shot off, like this bull is like committing to a dirt nap. And then your bull, he stood up like after the first shot, I think.
Yep.
And just got all types of confused, exactly like you said, and basically like kind of ran down the ridge towards us closer, and then turned completely broadside. And he was in my scope. Like, if there had been some crazy like double tag thing in Montana, I'd have had two. And I think I just said, I was like, Koby is broadside, shoot him. And you're like, I don't have a shot. And I was like, well, I do. Switch me spots. You're like,
he was behind a tree for me that was on our ridge, just a branch.
Yeah,
He took 2 steps, and that's all the convincing I needed. I told myself I wasn't gonna shoot it, but like, I've never passed a bull like that before. I've never doubled before. That was the first double. So yeah, I hammered him once, and then he went behind a tree again, and then I let him have it again, and he did the whole face plant.
Don't forget this part though.
Yeah.
My second favorite part to this is after you shot him the first time, you were waiting to get a follow-up shot, and my bull was like complete dirt nap dead, and you're like trying to find him again, waiting for another shot, and I'm looking at him through my scope, and I could see the whole, like, you absolutely smoked him, but he acted like he acted like he wasn't even phased, which, again, horror stories. And you're like, hey, congrats on killing your first bull. And I'm like, dude, shut up, shoot this bull. You're like congratulating me as you're in the process of killing your bull, which to me, looking back at it, was hilarious.
Yeah, that was pretty funny. So, yeah, we got up and celebrated for about 10 seconds, and then I let the F-bombs fly, didn't I?
You sure did. Yeah, I had no idea what we were into. I knew it'd be tough. But you took that video, and you're like, what happened? And I was like, I showed my casing, and I was like, this just happened or whatever. And you're like, yeah, we doubled up, and you're like, oh yeah, we got our work cut out for us. Like I was like, yeah, we're gonna earn it. Yeah, we're gonna earn it. And like,
You're gonna earn it. We're gonna earn it all the rest of today. I mean, next 2 days. You said that on the.
yeah,
You spoke it into existence. So yeah, we got over there, went down to him, and got to watch you walk up on your first ever Rocky Mountain elk, a bull, and man, just to watch that experience is something special. You know, to help someone get that. You know, it's just as rewarding for me to help my friends. You know, be successful, whether it's their first or their fifth. You know, and it was a pretty cool moment that you had there, and just very very thankful. I could tell, and the hard work paid off. You know, you've been grinding for it, you earned it, and then you continued to earn it. So
yeah, we did earn it, and like I'm not afraid to admit that, like, dude, there's no way I killed that bull without you. Like, no freaking way. I probably wouldn't even have left our glassing knob because they were so far away, and like that type of country, like that's not my forte, dude. Like I'm like I can get around like breaky country. I could get around that country probably a lot better if there was no snow. But that snow had me like I fell. Shoot, I fell more times on the hike up to that knob than I did with a backpack full of meat, if you remember that correctly.
yeah,
Like I
yeah,
did a
no,
full
absolutely.
I did a full gainer at one point, like ass over tea kettle. Just I don't know what it was, like weak legs or just it was just owning me, dude. Like I was in the hurt box basically like from when we parked the truck and hit the trailhead. Like I was in the hurt box for 48 straight hours. Like that was not easy hiking for me. And I pride myself on being like the guy who won't get out hiked and who can stay out there all day, which I did. Did I get out hiked? Of course. But I didn't quit. But you guys just made it look frickin'. I know it wasn't effortless, but you guys hiked me into the frickin' mud. Bad.
Yeah, so that was just after one when that went down. And so we get over there, kind of get them a little closer together so we can A, get a picture, but B, just work on them together. We don't want to be 30 yards apart, like, hey, come hold this leg for me. Hey, come hold this leg for me. So um, we eat some lunch, start processing them, quarter them. We did the gutless method, quartered them, pulled our jaws off, skinned the heads, because you're not getting your jaw off the second day, and you are not wanting to pack out an extra 10, 15 pounds of hide and jaw. So it's really important with elk, and especially in the later season, to get those jaws off that same day. You know, we got through all that, went through. I mean, we used 3 knives on 2 elk, and those MKC knives they're good knives, and but elk, they take it to it. So by then they were getting pretty rough. I mean, I don't know any knife that can withstand that. You know, I go through 3 Havon blades for an elk, or a couple outdoor edge blades if you're using replaceables. So did that, and I kind of had a tentative plan where I wanted to hike out a little different route. I was like, because we right off the drop there, off the Glass and Knob, we dropped 900 feet and then worked the creek bottom all the way down to these, losing elevation the whole time, then hiked back up to them. So I was thinking, well, let's just get to the ridge top, and it circles all the way around back to the Glassing Knob. I was like, it's a little bit further, but we don't have to go up that hill and through those Christmas trees 2 or 3 different sets. So we load our packs up. We each took one fully bone-in hind quarter that night, and shuttle all our meat away from the kill site. There's no trees to hang your stuff in, and we didn't have enough paracord to hang 6 quarters at bear height. You know, it's like, so you just find a nice spot, nice log that's like they're gonna get air. It's cold out. I'm not worried about it at all. Like, just get it away from that kill site. That's key right there. So we start hiking, and man, that first 20 minutes through that first set of Christmas trees, I was just like, uh-oh, this is not good.
Mm-mm.
So we get up to the ridge, well, not even the ridge, to the ridge before the ridge, that I'm like, let's get over here. And I think the hardest part of that night was the first hour for me. Mentally, I was like panicking almost. Like, I knew what was in front of us, and I knew it wasn't going to be pretty for either of us. And I was a little bit rattled there. And so we get up to the top there, and I'm just like, we can't go that way. That's not the way. I mean, anything to add there?
No, and you're like, dude, I think we got to go with our gut. We got to go with our gut. And I was like, dude, I couldn't have got us down here in the daytime. There ain't no fucking way I'm getting us out of here in the dark. Although it wasn't crazy dark. Like, we didn't even need headlamps because the moon was out those 2 nights, which was a huge factor, dude. Yeah, it was big. That was really important for us. And I was just like, dude, go with your gut. Like, we might have to just send it the way that we came back in. As bad as I didn't want to, because I know how hard it was to get to where we got to. And now with our packs being 3 times as much in weight as they were on the way in, we had to go with your gut. And I don't think there was any other way that we could have gone.
No, I agree, and that's why I sat up there. I'm like, I got to trust my gut here, because 99% of the time, trusting my gut pays off, especially in experiences like that. And like, you were not talking bad or anything, but you were like completely relying on me to get us out of there, just because I take pride in my ability to navigate terrain.
I was. Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
it was like, so we go and we just, one foot in front of the other, we just keep going. And one of the other factors we haven't talked about yet is water. Yeah. So a little bit of tactical error there on your part. You didn't have much water. And so
that's why we killed, Koby. You're welcome. That's why we killed. I came totally unprepared. I thought we were going for a nice leisure hike. I didn't know it was going to be the hardest country I've ever hunted in. Thanks for that.
You're welcome. But I boiled so much snow, and one of the things about this type of snow is it's powder. There's no moisture content to it. So the key to that is leaving a little bit of water in your jet boil and just continuing to do that process over and over and over. And we had to stop like 6 hours into our hike out and boil some more snow, because I actually ended up losing one of my water bottles. I had 2, and one of them fell out when I sat down or something. So yeah, that night it was over 8.5 hours to go 3.5 miles.
At one point, we stopped and you were looking at Onyx, and we had traveled 1.6 miles in 5 hours and some change.
Yeah.
That is disheartening, dude.
Giving it everything we had too. Like, it seemed so freaking impossible in the moment. You know what I mean? It literally seemed unattainable because of the progress we were making. And when it like finally was like, we're going to do this, for me is like, we got to that ridge before we had to drop off, and we were 6+ hours in, and I turn around and I look back as you're coming up that windy ridge, remember?
I remember. I remember.
And I look back, I'm like, man, I just did that. It was a very rewarding feeling, but it was still like, there's still ways in front of us, because that hill we had to go down at the end was just shale and downfall. So we got back at 5 a.m., just shy of 5 a.m. to the rigs. And I made biscuits and gravy and a coffee, and we left your truck at the truck at the trailhead there.
That's
and
about what we sounded like once we got back.
very
couldn't form a sentence.
Disorientated. Like, yeah, I just so we were like, okay, we head let's see, take it back a minute to where we start processing the elk, and you're like, hey, my buddy Travis said he'd come help if we shot some. I'm like, let's get him. We need him. So we sent him an inReach message for the next day, and we're in contact with him, and he said,
Go ahead.
my truck tire.
He goes, my tire is messed up. I don't think I'm going to be able to make it. Could you guys come back into town? And you looked at me after you read that message, having never met Travis before, and you looked at me kind of like all side-eye, and I was like, no, he's actually telling the truth. Like, his tire is legitimately like not, it's broken. It's not good. And you're like, okay, well, we should probably go back to town. And yeah,
the other decision on that was our boots, right? Like, our boots weren't like soaked inside, but our boots were like frozen. It's like, I could, but I don't want to get 2-3 hours of sleep and then put these things back on and go do this again. And I don't want to make 3 trips. So we decided that we're going to go back in and just kind of rejuvenate for a couple hours. And I start driving, and I made it 30 minutes, and I was like, I'm gonna crash us. Like, I was so exhausted. I was starting to like try and fall asleep behind the wheel. So pulled over to fishing access and took a cat nap for an hour and a half, and then headed back in. And Morg's had some goodies for us, some food, some hydration, and she took care of us good. And then went and picked Travis up.
Yeah, we went and picked Travis up, and he knew that he was familiar with the country. And when we showed him where we shot the bulls, and then we showed him where we packed out, he's like, I think he said verbatim, "Oh my gosh, mistakes were made." And we were like, yeah, they were. He's like, you need to park over here and then take this route in and out, and it'll be a lot less of a ball buster. And it still sucked, but it did not hold a candle to day one.
Yeah. So we went and parked in there, and which is actually, I parked there this archery season during a hunt. And I was like, oh, okay, yeah. I was so disoriented that morning, whatever. I was like trying to figure out where to come out from, and that spot never even registered when we went back in. So we took a nice ridge in for 3 miles probably, and then we hit that nasty side hill on the way in. And then another steep side hill, and Travis and I are both like, man, I don't think we should come back this route. It's just going to be a tough couple hours through this section. So we got to our quarters at dark, right at dark. Yep. And nothing had even touched the carcasses. Nothing touched the meat or the heads or anything. So, man, Travis is good with a knife. That man can bone some stuff out. So we boned everything out there. Like, I'm decent. I know how to do it, but I'm not quick. So I was very thankful he was there for not just that, but like moral support, another good guy around, and then also he's pretty handy with the camera. So I was like, man, I'm actually gonna get some pictures of myself. That's a new thing. So, which yeah, he got some heaters. So that was pretty fun. But yeah, we got everything boned out. You and me each had two boned out front quarters, boned out hind quarter and head, and then he took back straps and T-loins off both elk, which, if any of y'all on here are just deer hunters, back straps and T-loins is like more than a hind quarter off a deer, significantly, I think.
Yep.
His pack was 90 pounds with just 2 sets of back straps and T-loins. You were at 100, and I was at 110. So what was the mileage on the pack out? I don't remember what you totaled it at.
Just over
4.5?
7.
Oh, 7?
Oh, on the pack out? Yeah.
Pack out.
Yeah, about just over 4, I think.
Yeah, because the route in was a little bit shorter, but then we took a different route out. We're like, okay, let's go hit this bottom, find this trail that we do know actually exists. We don't know how far it comes up, but we do know it exists. So we just had to hike down the bottom and then up and then down, just right. So that took us 7 hours, right? It was 7 hours.
Yes, it did. Yeah, and without Travis, we would have had to make a third trip.
Yeah. So, lifesaver right there. I owe him a couple beers, a couple photography lessons, something. Yeah, never forget that. But
going back to that first night, dude, like, people can be on, like, they'll never know because they never did it. And, you know, people have packed out a hell of a lot more elk on here than probably me and you combined that are listening. And that's freaking cool. I'm sure people have had brutal pack outs. Great work. Congratulations. But, like, I said this when I posted that picture, like, I've done some pretty difficult things that I've put on myself, like just endurance races and dumb last man standing things, and that are really, really, really difficult. Extremely difficult. Like, every time I do one, I'm like, that's the hardest shit I've ever done. That 8-hour pack out was, bar none, not even close, harder than any ultra marathon I've ever done, and it was only 4 miles, 8 hours, and it was just devastating. Like, you saw me in a state that very few people, like, apart from like Morgan and a couple of my other close friends that I've ran with before, have seen me in. Like, I'm talking about like absolute pain cave, like cursing at myself, blank look on my face, just not panic, but like just not in a good space, mentally, physically, just hurting tremendously. And you were there, like, you're like, dude, we got this. One foot in front of the other, like, you got to get out of here, brother. Like, we have to get out of here. If we don't get out of here, we're going to freeze to death. Like, we have to go. I was like, nah, man, let's set up camp. Let's start a fire. We'll be good. And you're like, dude, we're going to freeze to death. You have to get out of this fucking hellhole. Because I was in a tough place mentally.
Yeah, I could tell, and that's what. That's why in situations like this, you have to lean on each other, right? It's like I saw it, and I'm like, I have to keep him going. We got to keep moving. I know you don't want to. I don't want to, but I do at the same time. You know, it's you just have to keep moving forward, and that's another thing that's like that little saying right there. I've kind of adopted it from AJ, the Coffee Viking. Keep moving forward. He always says that. AJ. Love that saying. That's kind of, we went over my mantra last time I was on here, and I've kind of added that as a secondary one, like keep moving forward. Love that saying. And that was what was going through my mind the whole time is like you stop and you don't make it out. Like it was sub 15 degrees up in there. And, it's like you stop for a couple minutes and you start getting pretty chilly, but you had to stop for a couple minutes here and there just to, I don't know, just to get your thoughts, to get your feet under you as much as you could. But no, I've done some elk pack outs, but nothing like that before. I've never shot them, and I mean that's furthest I've shot elk from the truck. Usually I'm about 2 miles. And I've done a lot of elk pack outs where fortunately I had a sled back there, so I could just bone it out and then go run, get the sled, and pull it out, which is significantly easier. Done a couple on the back, and yeah, it's not easy, but I know it's wild though, because we were talking about this too. Is like there's people that do that every year, man. It's like that's what they do for their meat. That's what they do for fun. Like every single year, it might not be that extreme, but there's a lot of times that it is that extreme. So you were saying that you think undoubtedly that the mountain hunter is the most extreme athlete out there.
I think so, dude. It used to be ultra runner for me, like just because I've seen some guys do some crazy shit, and but they don't have no weight. They don't have no weight on their backs. That's the biggest thing, dude. When your pack weighs 100+ pounds, and you're fighting for every gosh darn inch, and it's freezing cold, and there's snow, and you're gaining thousands of feet of elevation, then you're just losing it all in 10 minutes, and then you got to do it again, and you're trying to navigate. You know, you're not looking for little flags on the side of the trail that'll just keep you, follow the flags, you'll get to the finish line. There's no flags out there, dog. It's pitch dark. Your packs are heavy. It's life or death, really, in a sense. And like you and Travis doing that, and I got to hunt with a couple other guys this year that are just fucking animals. Like the way that you guys can just navigate through the country with these heavy packs and really necessarily not even have to look at your maps. It's just everything all in one. To me, like those guys that can do that, like you and Travis and these guys, complete savages, just freaking studs. And I consider myself in tip-top tier shape, and I got freaking humbled so hard. And I've always been the guy, because I've been wanting to kill one, since I moved out here. I've been successful in other areas and stuff, but I mean, I've been the guy who's been 8, 9, 10 miles away from my truck and been like, yeah, I just got to kill one. I'll figure it out afterwards. Dude, there's no way. Like, by myself, solo, there's no way. So as bad as you want to kill one, you also have to use your head, because there's no way that I'd still be there. I'd still be out there if I did that solo 4 miles from the truck based on that country that we were in. So you have to be smart, and you have to kill them in a good place where you can get them out. And we were not smart. One bull in there was going to be a job, and we dropped 2 of them because the opportunity was too good, and we knew that we could do it. We didn't know it was going to be that bad. I mean, maybe we did, but I didn't think it was going to be
regrets.
remotely. Yeah, I didn't think it was going to be remotely close to that difficult of a challenge, but I don't think we'll do that next year, brother. I'm not doing that next year. I'm not shooting two that far away in that type of country. The hell
If
with
you
that.
want to go elk hunting here, just get a hold of me. I'll send you a pin. I ain't
Yeah,
touching it.
yeah, that's one pin I will share on this app. You can literally DM me, and I will give you, I will give you the kill spot, and you can go in there and have at it. Be my guest, but don't call me on a pack out. I got bad tires.
Yeah, yeah.
One of the most impressive things, though, to the whole story was when we glassed those bulls, like 2 miles away, and we're like, yeah, they're not in that bad of a spot. Let's go try to kill them. And I was like, you hang on, man. Like, you want to drop a pin on those bulls so we know where we're going? And you looked at me, you're like, nah, I know where they're at. We got it. I'm like, what the like, is this dude serious? Because, like, dude, when you drop 900 feet to start, that country looks completely different. Like, yeah, you might have a direction to go, but, like, I wasn't getting within 270 yards of those bulls. I could still be out there right now and not get within 270 yards of those bulls. Like, no way. And you're like, no, I know where they're at. And that just comes with experience, no?
Yeah, I mean, I just see it and I know. It's kind of weird. Talked about this with Hunter McWaters some too, is like just growing up doing this and stuff like this and navigating terrain. It's like I just have such a deep understanding for it, and I take a lot of pride in it. And yeah, I knew right where they were. I'm like, it's behind this ridge, next to this rock. There's a little patch of trees up there. It's just like getting those landmarks. That's the key, right? Is like setting your landmarks. It's like, okay, there's that big cliff, but then there's that big cliff on the next ridge over. They're up that ridge, but underneath these jack pines, right? So it's just like being able to like kind of triangulate them, even from other perspectives, right? Like we're a completely different vantage when we're down at the bottom. I still knew exactly where they were because of how I kind of made these different landmarks in my head. Like, and I do it without even thinking too. It's like I just look at it and it's like, yep, right here, yep, okay. So
Yeah, I hunted with a friend of mine. His name's Kelly. And he invited me out for the opener this year, and he took me into some like pretty freaking gnarly country. And again, I was like, man, this is really impressive how you guys can navigate and travel through. He's like, you got to be able to flow with the terrain. Like, you have to be able to flow through it. Like, you have to be a part of it. And like, you're not, the way that he described it, he just kept saying you have to flow with it. You have to flow with it. Like, you don't want to fight against it. Just flow, give what it gives you, and then just roll with it. And that made a lot of sense. And that's what we did. I saw you doing that whole trip. Like, yeah, we were fighting against it a little bit, but for the most part, like, we were taking ridges down and saddles, and like we were just flowing with what the country presented, which makes a lot of sense.
yeah, and I was looking in this country specifically. I was looking for pinch points where the narrowest portion of those jack pines were, that regen, those Christmas trees, like they would kind of taper down in one spot, and it's like that was the least amount of distance we had to travel through those. So it was like picking those out was actually one of the most important things. So again, that full moon, like I can't express how important that full moon was both nights, just to be able to fully see the terrain. Like both the nights we didn't use headlamps.
Right.
And so that was really important too.
Yeah, it was. But what a memory. I knew it didn't even hit me until like Tuesday, Wednesday, like that we did what we did, because the whole time we're just up against this impossible feat of trying to get this meat out. How are we going to stay healthy? Like, how are we going to get through this? Because, like, that shit was fucking dangerous for me, dude. Like, I'm surprised I mean, out of all the times I fell and didn't get hurt, like, I'm still black and blue. I have a huge black and blue mark on my ass that goes from, like, my ass cheek all the way down to, like, the top of my knee.
Nice.
Might have been that video that you captured that you put online, which was pretty epic of me. Just, I think you said current views.
Y'all ever seen Dead Body?
Yeah, that's what it was, dead body. But yeah, I couldn't even process like what we did until the work was done and I got like a good night's sleep and like a good hot meal. And I was like, damn, we killed 2 bulls. Like, you hunt 2 years and don't kill a bull, and then we go out one morning and shoot 2 of them. And it was just like, I told you and Travis, I was like, man, that was just for me like the ultimate experience. Like, that's why I moved out here. that is 100% why I moved out here. It was so hard but so rewarding, and I got to do it with friends. I got it all like captured by like you and Travis, like two of the best photographers I know, which was just memories that I'll have forever. So that's what Montana is to me, is what we did over those 48 hours. That was just fucking rad.
Yeah, love that for you. It was a great experience, and yeah, we're talking about just how hellacious it was, and we might sound like we're complaining. We might be a little bit, but ultimately, it's like we knew we were walking into something like that. I just didn't think, truly, I didn't think it would take that to get them out of there. Like I've done some stuff in the backcountry, and just I didn't think it was going to be quite like that. So that was a really big learning experience for myself. Just understanding the position you're putting yourself in a little bit more, and maybe just thinking about it a little bit more. But I mean, even next year, I still see myself doing something like I'm still shooting that. It's like, oh well, I'll get through it. I'll be sore for a week or two, and whatever. But yeah.
But did you die?
Almost.
Almost. Man, I'm glad we got to do that. That was a lot of fun. You got anything else?
I think one thing you missed is second night we were packing out. What was I like when we started to pack out? That's kind of a funny thing.
Oh, so this is where I did have an advantage on you at one point over 48 hours, because I knew exactly what was going to happen for once. Koby puts his pack on. We got this nice little route that we got all planned out. We're so excited because we don't have to come in for a third day. Like, we have all of our meat, and all we got to do is get to the truck. And this freaking guy, Koby, man, he's damn near running down the hill, yelling, screaming, Yahoo! Just like, let's go, boys. And I'm like, okay, yeah, all right, we'll see you in a couple hours. Like, you were just so excited. I was like, this fucking guy, he's going to bonk. I've seen it in ultra runs, and people are all excited at the beginning of the race, and then, like, 7 hours later, they're just dragging dick. And I was like, he's gonna bonk. You're going to bonk. And you did, but we freaking got it.
Yeah. I'd say about 4 hours in, I just, like, was like, oh. We were on flat ground, too, at that point.
I know. And I passed you, and you're like, what the hell?
And then I got my second wind when we got to the top there, though, and pretty much ran to the truck.
Yeah, that was impressive. I was really hurting at that point. Yeah.
Yeah. No, wild experience. No regrets, other than maybe we should have just shot one, but nah.
It was too good, dude. It was too good to not shoot two.
Unforgettable, absolutely. It's but to learn, like going back to the beginning of the pod, it's like we didn't necessarily. We failed within, just a little bit, I'd say. But it's like you got to go through experiences like this to learn and grow, right? So it's like we became better people and we grew a lot. And especially your growth as a Western hunter in this is exponential, the things you learn from it. So to do things like this, whether it's hunting or ultra running, canoeing, competitive rowing, so anything. It's like you have to do things like this to truly grow, I think.
Yeah, and you gotta humble yourself too with it. Like, I've been on here countless amount of times. It's like, if I'm gonna go hunting not by myself, I'm gonna go hunting with somebody who's a better hunter than me. And I'm gonna ask questions, and I'm gonna be green, and I'm gonna be novice, and people are gonna, my friends are gonna look at me being like, how do you not know the question that you just asked me? Like, I'm new to this shit. So is it embarrassing? A little bit. But, like, I want to learn. Like, this is the most fun shit in the world to me. And people can say what they want. Like, oh, yeah, you freaking, you wouldn't have killed that bull if it wasn't for Koby. Yeah, no shit, I said that. Like, there's no chance I would have killed that bull if it wasn't for Koby. But I still killed my first fucking bull. So, like, and I learned a shit ton. Like, I learned more over those 48 hours than I've learned my entire elk hunting in 2 years, dude. Like, without a doubt. And, like, just dumb shit. Like, didn't bring enough water. Didn't remotely bring enough food. I thought we were going for a leisure hike. Because that's usually how my elk hunts go, right? Until they don't go that way. Until you actually kill one in, like, a really bad spot. And you're like, wow, I'm going to be out here for, walking time? We had 16 and a half, 17 hours on my watch. Walking time.
walking time, but we left the truck at 7 and we got back at 5. That's 22
Yeah.
hours.
It's 22 hours in the field, dude. And if we didn't have snow, like, we'd have been fucked, and we would have been drinking swamp water, which would have been fine.
Dude.
But, like, just little things like that, like, came totally unprepared. Like, I was just out for a hike with my friend, and I had a
Yeah.
rifle. You know what I mean? But, like, little things like that, like, don't... I shouldn't say don't take it from me. Take it from me, because, like, if you don't have an experienced guy and you want to DIY it and just go out there on a rip, or go out there with your buddy who doesn't know shit just like you do, you're going to be in for it, especially if you're successful, because it would be a shame to kill those bulls and not have gotten the meat out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. And now I think you might have a little better understanding, like, why I keep some of the things in my pack I do, and kind of run my bag like the way I do. Like, I'm an over-preparer for just being in the mountains. Like, I have all the different stuff. I have a custom first aid kit I've built out because I've learned over so many years. You know, we used iodine tablets out of that the second night for our water because I didn't have my SteriPen because it was winter. I took my SteriPen out. But just the little things, man. That's taken me a lifetime to learn. I've been doing this since I was not necessarily hunting in the backcountry, but I've been in the woods since I remember life itself, and just that's why I'm good at it, because I've taken pieces from growing up with my family who spent their childhood in the woods and know a thing or two, and their grandparents spent time in the woods. So it's like it's literal generational like knowledge and wealth that I'm trying to pass to you and anyone else I go out with, and why I do the things I do, because there's a reason that I do everything the way I do within how I pack my bag, what I bring with me, all that stuff. Which like I'm a total like gear nerd now, and get pretty deep into that stuff, and having the puffies, where it's like if you were to fall and break an ankle or something, I'm sticking you in the puffies, and I'm hitting the Garmin, and then going probably. It depends on situational there, how cold it's going to get, whether I'd start a fire and then go hike, get my sleeping bag, bring it back up to you, or just stay with you and feed the fire. Just very situational, but just knowing how to operate on the fly too. Trust your gut.
No, without a doubt. And like, I'm learning all of these things from. Shout out to everybody that I went hunting with or went hunting with me this year, because I learned a ton from you guys, and I appreciate you guys taking me under your wing and just showing me the ropes, because a lot of these guys have been doing it their whole lives and grew up doing it, and their parents did it and their grandparents did it, and in my family I'll be the first one to do it, so hopefully I can pass that on to my people and my kids and stuff. So if I got to be the what do they call it, the dummy, what do they call it, the test dummy, yeah, if I got to be the test dummy and learn the hard way, so be it. But I love it, man. I wouldn't trade it for nothing.
Heck yeah. Huge shout out to our guy Travis. Couldn't have done it without you.
Huge shout out to Travis. I told him I might call him on this. He actually texted me, but I'll get him on again soon.
Yeah.
Well, cool, man. We knew we'd go over an hour. That was perfect.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Well,
until next time. Number 4, right? Number 4. The most ever.
It's going to stay that way, obviously.
Yeah, you're going to be hard to catch at this rate. I think the next person might have 2. Yeah, I think the next person's got 2. Yeah, we'll hit you again in the summer.
Yep.
All right, man. Well, I appreciate it. Stay on the line for a second. I know you're going to get home here in a minute, but stay on the line, small talk, and get you out of here. But as always, dude, thanks for coming on. I'm really impressed with that studio setup. Tell the Weatherbees if they need a dumb guest that's new to Western hunting that I'm their guy, and I'll make the trip to Sheridan. But thanks for last weekend, man. A memory I will never ever forget.
Absolutely, man. Glad it was you I was out there with. I wouldn't just take anyone out hunting. I'm pretty particular, and so yeah, good times, and always love coming on here and spread the knowledge, spread the wealth, and heck yeah.
Well, that was also cool. Before I let you go, we kind of had unfinished business because we went out last year and got really, really close to killing a bull. And then this year, not only did I get one, but you got one too. So we got to put the seal on that, which was really gangster.
Yep, that's pretty awesome. So
Hell yeah.
spent some
All right, brother.
good, significant time in the woods together. More to come.
Yes, we have. Yes, we have. All right, man. I'll get you out.